Okay, so everything's on display capture. Cool. I have Aimbeast open. So one thing that I've been doing is I've been playing a lot of Ground Plaza Fast Strafe Snow UFO. In Aimbeast, the scenario is created by Lena D, who I haven't seen in like a year or two, but a wonderful scenario creator. But basically, it I chose Ground Plaza because it's like a very famous scenario, both in basically every single aim trader. Anyways, this is my progress at 999 times played. I'm going to play one more time the scenario and then kind of give my thoughts. So I'm going to play this live on stream and then I'm going to export it on YouTube so that way I have like a catalog of me doing this every 1,000. So my goal is to play this 6,000 times, which is 100 hours, at least 6,000 times. I'll probably play it even more, and then kind of show my progress at each 1,000 reps. Excuse me. All right, cool. So my score is 345. My peak is 442. This is logarithmic uh, versus linear. I like to use linear. I've played it 1,000 times. My average score is 360. When I was at the 500 mark, um, my increase in my score from the baseline, which was like my baseline average, was about 300. So let's say like 300 to kind of lowball it. It was at 12.5%. So around like for the 500 mark, right around here. So 12.5, what is that? 345, 345 divided by 300. So it was like 15%. It was basically around, it was actually a little bit less than that. It was like 12.5%. And now at 1,000, I'm at 19. A huge reason is because of these last couple hundred, these last like 300, 2 to 300 right here in this area. Um, if you look at like kind of the line graph of this, um, it looks like a pretty standard growth down, up, down, up, down, up, right? And then you have your peaks. You have a huge one right there. But then if you notice, it's like a really like everything from here is like pretty steady growth, right? And I thought it would be higher. Like I guess that kind of makes sense because like this is my first couple hundred, and then I wasn't really used to the scenario, and my reading wasn't that great. And then here was a lot of like progress, and I'll get into the reason why I think it's going down. Here it's like steadily going down, right? And what happened here in these last, I'd say like even 500, right? And why this is actually going down is because I was hard grinding my sessions. So basically, I was doing this was like all done within the past. Let me take a look. That was in 2024. This is 2025. So basically, of this year, this is the past like 10 days, almost like 10 days, like what the 19, the past 7 days. basically, right? The 19th to the 28th. So in the past week, I've done the majority of this. And then there were some like a little bit last year, so I don't really count that. But whatever, it's still part of like the actual skill progression. But what am I trying to say here? So we go up and then we go down, like to simplify it. And what happened here? Like these last like 3 to 500 reps, um, I didn't control my breaks properly. That's really what it came down to. I think that's my belief right now. That's my observation is that every single day I was doing here, like from here to here, I was doing like 2 to sometimes 4 hours a day. I was averaging about 2 hours a day, like 2 to 3 hours a day, like 2.5. There were some days I was doing 4 hours, but usually after I did like 2.5 hours, anything past that, I kind of just played whatever I wanted to play because I got really sick of the scenario. Um, but that's not the main thing. It's not the amount of hours during the day actually that actually concerns me or the thing that I need to try to fix and at least test. I think what happened here that causes downward spiral is one, like poor sleep over the past little bit. I think that could be one reason, but I really think it's how I manage the breaks. Because up until this point, I would only play for 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And the only thing I would do is aim trade during that time. So what happened here in this yellow section, I was doing 15 to 30 minutes and then of actual playtime. And then the only thing I was doing was playing Aimbeast and I wasn't doing anything else. I was like hard focused, meaning I wasn't like playing other video games at the same time. I wasn't trying to do chores or whatever, or like do my job or like watch YouTube videos. Like the only thing I was doing was just like hard focusing during this time. But then in this red section, over here on the right side, I was mixing these sessions a lot with Apex. So I would have Aimbeast open and Apex open at the same time. And then I would kind of meander between both. You know, I'd play like 3 minutes of Apex and then, sorry, like one session of Apex, which is like 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how long the game is. And then I play like, I don't know, 3 to 10 minutes of Aimbeast. So one, my split focused here, like the two main things that I did differently is I had split focused, which isn't real focus at all, which means I had two games open at once. And then two, I would sometimes like exit out of the game, exit out of Apex, and then I would force myself to finish a rep, you know, to finish like a session. Like I would force like minutes, like playtime, like 20 minutes, just like the force reps, basically. Delete this. I would force reps, which is not good because I was like forcing it just for the sake of volume rather than actually like focusing on technique and stuff. So I was forcing reps, which is not great. And I like wasn't very mindful of what I was trying to do. Um, and then the other thing is I didn't take long enough breaks. Honestly, I think this is like the biggest thing is I didn't like because I had split focus and I was kind of like going back and forth. I didn't have structured breaks. So no structured breaks. Like up until this point, I was doing the anime Doro technique. Like in the yellow section, I was using anime Doro, which was like 15 to 30-minute sessions. And then um I would immediately follow up with like watching one episode of a K drama, you know, or an anime or a TV show that I liked, and then I would go back into it. And I would do this cycle like 2 or 3 times, and then I would take like one really long break. I would repeat this like 2 to 3 times. And then I would do like a really long break. I would like walk away from it. So honestly, my theory right now, after 1,000 plays of this scenario, is that I think the real key to success is like the breaks. And because like if I have the breaks, if I can master the breaks, then and having discipline to like walk away for like and I'm not saying and the breaks have to be like away from the screen. Well, at least away from aim training, right? I can watch TV or whatever. Um or I like go for a walk, or at least have 20 minutes of not playing Aimbeast. I'm not focusing on it at all. Like I do context switching, like full on context switching, right, to something else. And so I can focus entirely on something else. And then my mind kind of just drifts off. And mastering this, I think, is going to be the thing that actually determines me going from a downward degression to an upward progression um, for the next like couple hundred. So that's my goal, is like to mimic this growth again for the next like 500 or whatever. And I think the key to that is going to be the breaks throughout the day, where I'm doing at least 20-minute break of like not thinking about aim training at all. And I think there are a couple of reasons for this. Like when I go back into the session itself, I'll be completely focused on the reps that I'm doing. Like, okay, I'm like, my mentality is like, I'm here to do this thing and nothing else. And it has my complete undivided attention. I've also been playing around with like music and no music. There's benefits to both, and I'm kind of just like basing that off of feel. I don't see any huge like difference between the two in terms of like long term growth. But in my opinion, like the breaks are a real thing. And then also just like I don't go from like rep to rep as well. I'll do like rep to rep immediately. Um, Sometimes for 2 reps max. So I'll play 1 minute of the scenario, and then sometimes I'll take like a 2-second break and then immediately go into the next one. And then after that, I'll take like a 10, 15, 20-second break. I don't really count it. I kind of go off of feel, and then I go back into it again. So I try to limit myself to like 2 minutes max um, of like hard pushing and forcing reps, um, because I don't want to like one strain my hand. I don't think that's going to happen, right? But but also just to like kind of feel it out and like give my mind a rest, to like let my mind replay it subconsciously, what I just did, and then kind of process that information. So the way I'm seeing it is like I'm seeing the training, like me actually playing it, as like gathering data, and then the rest are the real is like the real learning. My brain is consolidating that information, organizing it, processing it, and seeing what happens. So I think the real trick right now is just like trying to master the breaks, making sure that I have like full context switching, and then when I'm actually playing the game, it has like my complete undivided attention. So we'll see. And honestly, over a long period of time, let's say like when I play this over 6,000 times, like this progression here might be normal, right? This might be a normal progression where I'm like gaining for 70%, and then I'm losing for 30%, right? But they're like, I did have this constant feeling of like me forcing things just to force it, just to force the volume. So that's not good. I want to see if I can prevent this, like this section here in the future, and just have like a fairly steady growth progression. But yeah, those are my thoughts at 1,000 reps. I'm going to try to do um, more reps in the future. Tomorrow, like today, I kind of took a little bit easy because I wanted to hit 1,000 to make this stream/video. there are other things that I was doing. I was like kind of mixing it up with strafe scenarios that I was creating. I would do like 2 hours of throughout the day, of playing ground, Plaza, FS no UFO. But then I would also mix it in with other things that I wanted to work on, like KTN close FS, which I'm really bad at, and I like just want to get better at that. But right now, I just need to focus on this. I kept going back and forth to this, but talking about it with Surf from Revosect and also just kind of realizing it lately is like, if I view aim training as something that I'm going to do for the rest of my life, probably just like a hobby, right? For the rest of my life, like the way chess is a hobby or reading is a hobby, then I have no rush to like, I have like no real urgency to get like a certain score at KTN close FS, right? It's just, it annoys me that I don't have a higher score and that I'm not more proficient at this scenario. But over a long period of time, it's more beneficial for me to push this score. One, because it's a pretty foundational scenario and it applies to all like aim training software and games, and it's more well known, so more people play it. I mean, if you look at this leaderboard, like Vexen is on there, and he's kind of like the talk of the town currently. But also, the reason I'm doing this is a couple reasons. Like one, it's for fun, but two is I want to have that confidence that I know I'll have finishing this, like doing 6,000 reps of this, right? Because if I do 6,000 reps, that's divided by 60, that's 100 hours. And to say that I did something for 100 hours, just like literally one scenario, I could have regrets and stuff. But I think the level of confidence that I'll get from just putting in the time is going to be astronomical. And even more so, what I predict is that I'm going to feel really, really confident, knowing that I pushed a score, right? That I push a scenario, my proficiency in a scenario to like a really high limit. So right currently, right, I've increased my average score by like basically 20%. But if we round this down, right, let's do some quick math, right? If we round this down and say that every 1,000 reps of like, good reps, 1,000 reps equals, let's say 15% growth, right? Let's cut this down from 19 to 15. Right? Let's say it kind of peters out to like 15%. So if I do 5,000 more, 5 times 15, right? That's 75 plus the additional 15, because we're basing it off of the original, which is 300, right? That's 90. So that's nearly double. So if I take 300 times 1.9, that's 570. My average score is 570, right? So if I play it for 1,000 hours, I could almost double my current my like base proficiency, which was like 300, 320, right? That's amazing. That's like an amazing like knowledge, right? So if I like having that experience and that knowledge, knowing that I've like proved myself that I can do that, that's insane. Like even like knowing that if I put in a certain amount of reps and increase my score, my base, my skill floor by 50%, you know, of the original score, that's amazing to me. Like that level of confidence is so cool, I think. And I'm not even talking about like pushing highest. Like I don't really give a fuck about this, about like skill ceiling, like meaning my personal best. I care more about the skill floor, right? So I'm at like 377 right now. And like that's not like it doesn't even feel good to me, right? Like currently, because I know I can like make it even better. Right. The current high score for this is let me take a look. 653. Right. So if we're just looking at my baseline, my skill floor, which is my average score, right? 360 divided by 30, whatever, 20%. Right. So let's say 15. If I play something 7,200 times, right? Divided by, sorry, if I'm trying to double it, 15 times 7, It's basically nine. So basically, if I play something 7,000 times and each thousand is worth 15, right? 15% of growth linearly, right? That's a lot of hours, right? But I can double my base score. So 300 times, let's just say twice, just times two, right? 600. But we can also take that in terms of what's my current level? What's my current uh let's see here. I'm at 442 right now, so I'm at 1,000. So we'll take 105 minus 15. Let's get to, we're trying to get to 5,000, right? So we need, so to 6,000. That's 100 hours. That's 5,000 divided by 1,000. Each rep is worth 15, so multiply by 15. So that's 75. So if I take 442 times 1.75, I can potentially get 773. I don't think that's true. Yeah, is that true? Hold on. 5,000 times 15, 75. Yeah, so 1.75 times my current score is 442. That's my personal best. I can potentially get 773. But even if we lower that from 15 to 12, let's say 10%, right? 10 times fucking 5, right? So 1.5 times 442, that's 663. That's still above what Vexen's current score was, which is like the highest right now, which is 653. So potentially I can hit that. I can beat Vexen's score by my 6,000 rep, right? So let's take a look at the math. We don't have scrims this week, which is sucks, which I'm quite pissed about. I work for myself, so I can kind of get away with doing this experiment and just fuck around. I can do whatever the fuck I want, which is really nice. Um, so I have 5,000 more reps divided by 60. That is 83 hours divided by 30 days, right? Let's say in the month of November, that's basically 2.7 hours a day, right? To do 5,000. I'm not going to do that. So it's probably going to take me 2 months to do this. So if I just devote like, I don't know, 120 per day times 30, right? I'll do 3,600. So even at, let's say, 3,000, 3,600 times, was it 3.6 times 1 point, times, sorry, 1.15, shit, 36, 36, 3.6 times 15%, my bad. So 54, is that really it? 3 times 15, 45, whatever. Let's say 446 times 1.45. Again, we're lowballing everything. I could still beat it. That's insane. Wait, is that even true? 3 times 15. That's 45. So by the end of November, I could literally beat Vexen's score if we're doing very conservative math. And again, this is all very hopeful. We're just using the math that we have from the 1,000 statistics, right? So it's 19, but let's say we average fucking 15% growth for every 1,000. Hell, let's do 12 times 3. That's 36. So sorry, 12 times 3.6, 43. Again, or just 12 times 3. Let's say I only use 3,000. Right, 12 times 3, 36. So 1.36 times, it's my highest score, 442. Yeah, in terms of high score. But the thing I'm concerned about is average, so 360 times 1.36. That's 489. That's a huge amount, dude. Such a huge amount. I don't know. I could be getting obsessed with metrics. I might, like, these are the findings and kind of my thoughts right now at 1,000 reps. I can't wait till I get to 2,000 reps and see what happens. But again, I think instead of focusing on um like optimizing my time playing the scenario while I'm playing the scenario, I need to optimize my time away from the scenario and like really having good rests and like good breaks away from the time that I do play, so that way when I do play it I am like focused and I'm allowing my brain to kind of process things properly. All right, those are my thoughts. Yeah, that's all I have. I'm gonna export this onto YouTube and then see where it goes from there. Peace.